It's time for the Steve and Kyle podcast with Steve.
I'm not running it through the walls because that's what chumps do, right? Then I had to get 15 boxes for outlets. My friend luckily told me, go with the deep boxes because 12-gauge wiring can get a little bit bulky inside the electrical boxes.
Uh-huh.
Whoa, back off. My time. You'll have your opportunity in about 1 second.
And Kyle.
Time!
So,
Christ, even in 60 seconds, it's unbearable. I don't even have any follow-ups. There's two people who might listen to this podcast casually who care. Both of their names are Chris. And even then, they're going, Jesus, wrap it up.
Live on tape from APS 3 point whatever, it's the Steve and Kyle podcast.
Here we are.
Yeah, boy, we're in the same boat where I feel like I need to ask you again today.
Yeah.
If we've just got, again, it's too many things. I'm staring at a rundown that has, what feels like a dozen items on it.
I know, I'm not able to look at the rundown either because our beautiful Tron is not working yet.
I think, there's a video, we still need to post that video, by the way, of you showing me your new breaker box. Boy, stay tuned to that for that.
It's a hell of a tease.
But
does my mic sound weird? Yeah, it does.
We're going to have to get through this one.
We had... Yeah. Back to some old problems rearing their ugly head again.
Yeah. They might be going back to the coffers to upgrade equipment somehow. But we spent last week in the last two episodes kind of talking about how you were upgrading the voltage. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
That would be the
kilowatt hours.
The main, upgrading our main.
And everything in this house now doesn't work for my purposes. You're trying to hook your phone to a mixer so we can talk to a friend of the show here in a little bit.
Yeah.
And the mixer's turning off when you're trying to call.
The mixer, as soon as I hit call, shuts off.
Your microphone is bordering on non-functional. Mm-hmm. We can't hook up to the Tron.
What the hell's going on?
But thank God, we've now got a larger mislabeled breaker box for you.
Yeah. No, it's labeled very, very accurately.
And it's impossible for me to not blame you for this.
I didn't do that work, man. I didn't. I paid. I cut the check.
So maybe this is cause to justify for you personally now going forward to always go DIY Steve.
DI Steve.
Because, again, I don't know who else to blame other than the electrician who was in the house fiddling with your breaker box.
I'm happy to hear that I get to do stuff on my own.
Right.
And it didn't feel good. Cutting that check, I did not like it. It was a lot of money, and I'm back, baby. I'm back.
By force. And if Annette asks, just tell her if you want to know why. You have to now replace the countertops.
Listen to that shoddy microphone sound on the old podcast. Yes, the podcast that I do with Kyle. You may remember that.
When she asks, why do you need to do the counters? You say, well, we were trying to call Greg Mescal in France. And the mixer turned off.
And things went awry.
And then don't explain any further.
Yeah.
That's it.
What do you mean, why? Mescal, France, Olympics.
How does that not explain everything you need to know? And then, you drop in something super sensitive like broad. What in that situation, and I don't think you've ever done this. I've never done it. One, because I wouldn't want to be violently attacked. And two, it's the most condescending thing ever. Mm-hmm. If you had to rank the most condescending way you could phrase that, you have, let's say, three options. What do you mean? We had to talk to my friend Greg Mescal in France, woman.
Okay, so that's option A.
Or had to talk to our friend Greg Mescal in France, broad.
That's a little more abrasive.
I don't even know the bronze medals used in Olympic analogy. I don't even know the bronze medal for those.
I mean, it would have to be the B word, which I do not feel comfortable saying. No, don't put it on the poll.
No. I'm just putting what is worse to call your spouse. And we'll do female or woman or broad. Yeah. But yeah, not to pull the rug out from, but coming up after the break here in a little bit, we're going to talk to our friend Greg Meskel
live from the Olympics,
Paris, France. I'm assuming if he's not standing at the lookout of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. He's posted some pictures.
Yeah.
Because you follow him on social media too. He's posted a lot of amazing pictures.
Doing a lot of the water polo work for, I forget, we'll ask him who he's working with. I apologize, Greg. I should have all that info. But yeah, we're going to talk to our...
Should we come up with a title for him? Like
like Brian Krause, our friend of the show, Jewish correspondent.
Maybe assistant to Flavor Flav of the U.S. women's water polo team.
Right. And there's probably the majority of people wondering why that makes any sense. And that's not their fault. There's no reason for most people, if you're not a sport fan or keeping up with every bit of information about these Olympics. But yeah, the I believe just the women's, or maybe the men's and the women's water polo team.
The women's, yeah, I think he's strictly for the women's team.
For a country that wins the most medals continually in all the Olympics, there is no country that treats their Olympic athletes and teams worse than the United States. So they needed financial assistance simply to be able to go to France for these Olympics. This is like the local high school band who was fundraising to go to the Thanksgiving Day parade last year.
Yeah, where they come to your house and ask if you have any returnables so they can cash them in for 10 cents.
Yeah, hey, we've got, Billy on percussion doing a car wash.
By the way, I got like 3 bags of returnable cans in my garage. Is there anything more inconvenient?
No. But it's just enough to justify you going back to do it.
No, it wasn't until we received bags from like my sister-in-law. She's like, oh, here, just take this. And then my mother-in-law showed up yesterday and she's like, here, I got another bag for you.
What is happening?
I don't know. I don't know.
When did you become the dump-off house?
I think that because we might have mentioned one time to them that...
You love recycling?
No. That we...
you love can machines?
Absolutely not. They smell like vomit. They rarely work. Because it kind of became a thing. Like, we don't drink a lot of stuff that comes in cans or bottles. Like, we're not a soda drinking family.
Oh, here we go.
And
just the condescension.
We don't drink a lot of beer like you losers.
We keep a clean temple inside and out.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're not eating kale for every meal,
no, we just don't. Like I don't know.
I'd like to see you get your kids on board of the caffeinated sugary beverages.
Yeah,
get them going early.
I think Evelyn tried she tried a can of like Sprite or Cherry Coke or something one time.
Yeah,
she refers to it as spicy bubble pop.
Gave Reed a taste of my Starbucks yesterday, so he's fully on board. He's ready to roll.
Nice. Yeah, but we must have mentioned one time in front of family that any of the stuff that ends up in the recycling bucket, I'll take Evelyn to the grocery store and she feeds it through and then she gets to keep however much it is. So usually it's like, we got 15 cans, so you get $1.50. And I mean, since she's a kid and kids are inherently dumb, they think that that's the most money in the world. So maybe they heard us say that and they were like, "Oh, well, we'll give you more, so Evelyn can get more."
Isn't this now the second time you've tried to swindle your kids to do awful work, like picking up sticks for a penny or something like that?
Oh, it's much more than that. Yeah, and that happened again recently.
The stick scam?
Yeah, but my wife was leading the charge on that. She's like, "Hey, Evelyn, you wanna earn some money? Yeah. All right, every stick that you pick up, you get a penny."
Posting that on the poll. Do you run a stick scam on your kids?
Yeah, I mean, and the best part about it is she's not like, she can count pretty well, but she always loses track. So she kind of defaults to like starting over again.
So you're now utilizing your dumb kid, no offense, for a stick scam.
And then I asked Annette, I said, Did you pay her? She's like, no, she forgot to ask for the money. God. I was like, oh, come on now.
Oh, so that's how it works? So you don't have to go in every Friday and either call Big Dutch Ron or whoever handles the finances and go, hey, can I get paid today?
Yeah. If you don't,
glad you called. I almost forgot.
Yeah. If you don't ask for it, you don't get it.
You guys are running an absolute racket out here.
Yeah, it's working well, too. I mean, the backyards never look better. All the sticks are cleaned up.
I mean, all the sticks are cleaned up, so you can for sure see the world's most crooked swing set that we talked last week about. We're gonna shoot a video. Well, we each want to what we want to do before we walk out to the backyard is just visualize it.
You set this up. I got to run and I got to grab something real quick.
Okay. So the aim is, and again, this is all on the heels of the hot hitting video of Steve's Breaker Box coming up very soon that you can see on our social media at Steve and Kyle, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We want to take a video of us looking out the back window towards Steve's swing set, which notoriously he put up. This was a DIY Steve project. And we each want to guess, when we slap a level on it, how many degrees off it will be. Because I think it started probably okay, within a margin of error that everybody would be comfortable with. And we live in an area where generally it's kind of clay ground. It's not very firm ground. Mm-hmm. And there's no other way to describe what's been happening to that swing set other than quicksand.
Do you think it's sinking?
I think it's definitely shifted. I don't know. I don't want to say sinking. I don't know. You have a lot of trees, roots mess with the topography of your backyard. It's definitely shifted. I think the handful of times I've looked at it since it's been put up, what's it been, 2 or 3 years?
2 years.
So no doubt the kids haven't been on it in a year and a half, which is how swing sets go.
Exactly. You take more time to set them up than they will ever spend on them.
I think it's probably gotten marginally worse since its launch date 2 years ago.
I'm disappointed. I just went down the hall. I was going to grab. I have a little, I have the regular level that has the bubbles in it.
Sure.
But I also have, it's like a little square digital level.
Oh, sure. It'll give you the degrees.
It'll tell you the exact degrees.
I think, I'm assuming our phones have that technology that'll show it.
True. Yeah.
So we'll just take the cases off and, as the barometer, because I know for a fact these sound deadening panels in this room are going to be zeros. Okay, those are going to be flat as an arrow.
Yeah. Of course they are.
This was a DIY Steve, and I got to tell you, I'm eyeballing it, and I got 20/20 with these things on, and
it's pretty close, right?
They are darn near zeros.
Look, nothing's rolled off of them yet, and we have enough trinkets and tchotchkes sitting on top of it.
That's right.
All right. So anyway, how did we
we're going to talk to Greg Meskell coming up after the break. But I have a couple items. Do we want to? I have a couple of options, Steve.
Okay. Yeah. What do you got for us?
There was one thing I texted you about this morning, but then there was also something I remembered while we were sitting here. So I want to ask you: do we want to deal with the question I posited to you via text this morning?
I think we talked to Greg about that. I think we put him on the spot as well.
Yeah, let's do that. So I need to tell you. We were kind of building up in previous weeks. My wife and son were gone for, I think, 4 days. They left Friday. They were home Tuesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Best days of your life?
And I talked building up that I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And I was planning on maybe painting trim. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I feel like I needed something to keep me...
I've been there before.
Productive.
You need something, or else you're just going to rot the whole time. Yeah. You're just going to lay there and watch a movie, watch TV,
right?
Order food, and be lazy.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having those.
No, you need those rot days every now and then.
But I feel like when you're at an age like you and I, with kids and family and obligations, that's so out of the norm. It feels like you've just flipped a switch, and it's to me it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah, I had one of those. It was just a day last week where Annette had taken the kids up to my in-laws because some of her cousins, who we don't see a lot, they were in town, so she wanted to take them up so they could all get together, and then but they were gone for the entire day. Like, I was basically, by the time they got back, I was getting ready for bed, and so it was like I just had a whole day. Got home from work. I was like, what do I do?
It's so quiet.
Can I take a nap? I mean,
you pawned off a cat?
I feel guilty taking a nap, but I guess I will.
Yeah. I've now gotten to the point where naps scare me because if I'm in the afternoon, whatever, and I take a 20-minute nap.
Old man afraid of naps.
ruins my ability to fall asleep that night. Just short ones.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I took a long nap. Mm-hmm. But if I fall asleep or pass out on the couch for 15, 20 minutes, I'm sitting there in bed at 10:30, 11. I shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done it. Can't close my eyes. I'll post it on the poll. Do you get to a point in life where you become afraid of naps?
Do you fear naps?
So this was all swirling through my head in the days and weeks leading up to them being gone. Mm-hmm. And even the week of, I still had intentions. I thought, you know what? That's it. I'm going to get brushes. I'm going to buy whatever little tarps and tape, and I'm going to try to do some of this trim around the house, because it's one thing we want to do before we inevitably move in the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
And that was all good to go up until I took 3 positive tests for COVID 3 days before my family left.
Cool.
So we spent 3 days of me avoiding my family to try to not get them sick.
Yeah.
To the point where I didn't want to I don't know if it's to the credit of the silly amount of boosters I've now received that now I'm irritated at in hindsight.
Yeah.
Or my just stellar immune system. It was nowhere near as bad as the other time I've had this in 2021.
Yeah.
So, but it's still, those first few days are really rough. So the point where I didn't make any productive moves around the house that I wanted to. So by the time they get home, you feel like a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
But I did something when they were gone that, if I had to estimate, I don't think I've done in 30 years. Do you have any guesses about what that was? And
how old are you again?
I am 37. It is not obviously not like a home improvement project. I wasn't 7 years old roofing.
Right.
But I have not done something for myself in 30 years.
I know that it's not like reading comic books, because you're an adult baby who reads comic books.
Mm-hmm. No shame.
It's not anything to do with like cartoons or anything, because that's basically your real life.
Yeah. Me and Roadrunner zipping around Acme or whatever their village is. What town are they in?
I don't know. They're like in the desert, right?
Yeah, are they not in a town? Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, are they like known to it? Like, do they just go home at the end of the day after Wile E. doesn't get Roadrunner, and they just like wave to each other and say, "See you tomorrow. Try it again."
Try it. 8 a.m.
We're here in Looney Tuneville.
Like, do they clock out? So they, after they're done, do they go out and just have a drink?
Yeah, the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote punch out of work. But do you have any guesses?
Oh, God, that's tough. I mean, so something you haven't... Is it like an activity or...
No.
Okay.
Nothing in terms of me being active. Like, all right. I went out and, shagged fly balls by myself,
or like
right?
played mini golf or something.
Much different vibe than that, more relaxed.
No, I have no idea, because I would have said like watched a certain movie again,
right.
But I mean, you're such a movie person.
Yeah, if there's a movie that I haven't seen in 30 years that I wanted to, I've seen it by now.
Yeah.
Steve, I took a bath. When the last time you, a man in his late 20s, early 30s, took a bath?
Took a bath. And, okay, so we're not talking...
I'm talking run a tub?
So we're not talking hot tub.
No.
Like with jets and...
no, like chlorine chemicals. No, I'm talking fresh, hot off the tap. Filling up that tub.
December 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're on a 5.5 year streak. And obviously this was a memorable bath because you remember the time frame of it. Yeah. So I'm guessing
I remember where we were.
This is like the first time you learned how to blow bubbles or something. Annette! Come look! Bring a straw! You're going to love it!
You won't believe this!
Get it?
Did you know what I said?
Dip your ears in. I'll mouth words. Tell me if you can hear it. So December 2018, which, by the way, again, this was not talked about in advance. The fact that you remember the date.
It might have been, it might have been Christmas Day.
Okay.
Or
the Christmas bath.
Christmas bubble bath.
I'll put it on the poll. What's more memorable, a Christmas story
or a Christmas bubble
or
bath?
a Christmas bubble
Yeah.
bath?
Well, I mean, I remember because I remember the vacation we were on. It was pre-kids, but it was like the last Christmas before we had kids. And yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And what did you think when you took 5 minutes? So this was on vacation, so it was somewhere else. It was a full-size tub.
Yeah.
Okay. So I decided to take a bath because my wife enjoys it. I think for I don't know if I'm not saying it's a gender thing, but I would argue that she takes baths based on life schedules 100 times more than I have, considering I haven't taken one in 30 years.
I'm sure it's very relaxing for her. Now, does she do the whole thing with does she have like the thing that lays across the tub that has
Bought her one of those years ago.
Okay.
Like the wooden thing that you stretch it out over the tub.
Set up an iPad, watch a show.
Yep, cup holder.
Glass of wine. Is it so she goes all out with that then?
I don't know if she'll do that most of the time, but she'll have a book in there, whatever.
Okay.
So I thought,
reading a book in the tub. Oh, no.
And it might even be an electronic, like an e-reader, but either way.
No, you're going to die. Drop that in the water.
Will a Kindle zap you?
Yeah.
Not plugged in. No.
Seen it 100 times.
Okay. Have you seen a Kindle electrocution?
You do not tempt Kindle bathroom deaths.
Is that going to be on one of the, like, more people die of Kindle electrocution than shark attacks every year? So I decide I'm going to do this. So I start filling up the bathtub, and it's no fault of my home. I have what a lot of homes have, which is a shower bath, right? Not a full stand-up shower, but it's not like a separate tub.
Yeah.
And filled it up as far as you could reasonably fill it up to know that when your body gets in it,
it's not, the displacement's not going to flood your house.
Right. And sat down. And within 10 seconds, had every regret possibly known to man. I'm not a small man.
What did you possibly regret? You don't
realize.
Was water too hot, too cold?
No. In your head, you're thinking movie baths, right? So you're thinking, in general, it's typically some super attractive person, hair kind of flowing out of the tub and their head's laid back on a pillow or something.
Yeah, it's not going to happen for you.
And they're 80% asleep. So when my 5'10", 200-pound body sits down into this bathtub and you realize that maybe 40% of your body is in the water and you've never looked worse, right? Top to bottom.
Right, yeah.
You're looking at the layout of everything at this point.
You're getting the full picture.
So what I decided, I sat there, I had, I think, music on my phone that I set off to the side. Yeah. And I let rest of it.
What were you listening to? Was it like romantic music?
No, I think it was Zach Bryan, country artist.
Okay, I like Zach Bryan. Yeah.
So I set my head back and I thought, I need to try to do this to relax. I don't know how to properly relax. I'm coming up on 40. I don't know how to do a proper relaxation where I just kind of get loose and just sit.
Close your eyes and just take in the music.
And instead,
Zach Bryan singing about
it's always something about whiskey and
factory shutting down.
Very Bruce Springsteen of Zach Bryan.
It is
very Bruce Springsteen.
There are a couple songs where I was like, well, I know what song he listened to when he wrote this one.
Yeah, they had it's total sidetrack. They have a duet on the on his album that came out last week, and the opening notes, I'm pretty positive, are stolen from a Springsteen song.
Oh yeah, what song is it? Is it
27 Seasons is the song.
Yeah.
But I forget. But yeah, I in my head I can name the Springsteen song because I know the opening.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we digress.
Instead, I spent about 15 to 20 minutes, which was, turns out, the duration of the time I spent in the bath, essentially coming up with my stand-up comedy routine.
Oh, good.
About how terrible baths are.
Now, were you practicing it? Were you doing it out loud?
No, I did not have.
You're at the house by yourself.
So what I had was probably 8 to 10 ideas that were jokes about adults taking baths that would just have to be kind of put into some normal structure,
some order. Yeah,
right. And the least relaxing thing I've done in months.
So you were basically working.
Yeah, but for now, I mean, working the same way that I was working on here, wasting time and not making money. So if you want to call that working.
So did you make notes of all this stuff?
I didn't, but it's still in my head. And I now wonder, because I got to the point at the end of this bath, or wherever in the bath, where I'm like, okay, this is meant to, I need to be clean. Like, that's the point. How do you do that as an adult in the bath?
Yeah, because then you're just kind of sitting in dirty bath water.
Well, right. And so am I just sitting down and scrubbing my body that's already underwater? Do I have to drain the water, turn the shower on?
I think you shower and then bath. Which seems like a terrible waste of water.
That's a waste of water. And boy, that's an allotment of time right there.
Let me ask, did you do like bath beads or some Epsom salts or anything?
No. And we have some child bath bombs that I could have used, popped like a red blue one with a dinosaur in the middle and really enjoyed the sense of, bubblegum cotton candy that I'm
Plus
guessing.
you got that little dinosaur that you like,
Yeah, then I'm like, get him. So I come here today to ask you, as an adult, how do you take a bath? Can you try it? Do you have a shower tub combo?
upstairs.
Can you try one in the next week or so I can check back with you on if it's maybe just me having that issue in my brain of not being able to relax? Maybe it is relaxing. But when I'm looking at half of a overly large stomach sticking out of the water, knees, but then if you go wide-legged, you're like, oh, now I look like a hooker. But if you go closed-legged, it's terribly uncomfortable. Unless you sit upright like you're in a school chair, like you're in fifth grade and you're in detention.
You need a long tub.
You need a full tub. You need a full-size tub. I'd love to hear this review from you.
Okay.
Can I get a promise from you that in the next 7 days,
I'll take a bath.
you will take a bath and you can report back to me on if I'm just being grumpy old guy unable to enjoy a bath.
Well, because of our record schedule, it's actually got to be 2 weeks because
I'd still like to hear you do it in the next 7 days. Really keep yourself accountable.
Okay. All right. So keep myself accountable. I'll do it in the next 7 days, but you won't hear about it for 2 weeks on the time. I can do that. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And if there's one thing that I do on this podcast, it is make promises and then keep them.
I can't wait. I'd actually like to hear you text Annette. Mm-hmm. I want to see does Annette think you would enjoy it? But does Annette take baths? Is she ever sitting in the tub going, hey, long day with the kids and you, and I just want to be away. I'm going to,
No.
Okay.
I'm sure she would love to, but I think that, I don't think that she would give herself that time.
Okay. So that's a big reason to tune in. Again, coming up.
Bath time.
Steve's review of a bath. And also, don't forget to check out our social media for Steve's new breaker box.
Kyle, it's a big time of year. Well, big time of the 4 year or the 2 years.
Right. But then if you count Tokyo as 2021, then as a weird time, yet 3, but then the winter was still in 2022. So
that was every year.
It's the big time for the last 18
Kyle,
months.
the Olympics are here once again.
That's right. We talked about them quite a bit, Steve. We asked, are you going to be watching them casually or actively? And have you been watching any of these Olympics?
Yeah, I have been.
It's been fun. I always find myself drawn to it, and it's fun.
I haven't watched a ton, and I've seen a lot of the swimming events.
Okay.
Watching Katie Ledecky just dominate.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Watched a bunch of gymnastics, so I've seen a lot of Simone Biles and the U.S. women's team, and I loved the shade being thrown at the former member of the gymnastics team, Michaela Skinner.
I always love a little petty going on in the Olympics and in these massive events like that.
I'm not above petty.
No, goodness, no.
I live amongst the petty.
I will bust out the petty on a whim. Okay? So, we had a chance 3 years ago from Tokyo to talk to your friend, your former classmate, right?
Yeah, we went to Monmouth University together. Mm-hmm. Greg Meskel.
We
took part in the student radio station WMCX 88.9 FM, obviously modern rock with an edge. I don't have to tell
Is
you
it
that.
modern rock? Whatever. I don't need to get into. We don't have time to get into the minutia of what that all means. You've been a part of plenty of radio station slogans that seem dumb. Add that one to the catalog, I guess. We'll ask Greg what he wants to be referred to as. He's the Chief Content and Marketing Officer of USA Water Polo. So we're going to be lucky enough to talk to him because the USA Water Polo teams are arguably one of the bigger stories for our country in this Olympics. A lot of based on what they're doing in the water, but a lot of what they had to do just to be able to get there.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and but it's fun. I feel like this Olympics has been more like star-studded than past ones,
right?
Between Snoop Dogg and Flavor Flav.
Right, NBC pulls out the celebrity stops quite a bit.
Yeah,
so they can have Snoop Dogg and Leslie Jones. I saw they had a couple of Saturday Night Live people or whatever comedy duo they're doing over there.
Well, they got Colin Jost in Tahiti.
That's right, doing the surfing play-by-play. Doesn't hold a candle, though, to our good friend, Greg Meskel. Let's see if we can get him on the line here.
Yeah. Oh, boy. That doesn't sound good.
Hello.
Greg Meskel.
It must be the international dial tone.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy, it sounded,
Did you hear that?
You must be international.
That beeping sound?
Yeah, it's not giving us the standard ring that we normally get.
Yeah, it's like that beep, beep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did you have to go buy a phone card at the local gas station just to be able to call home for this, or?
No, Kyle, because it's not 1989, so you can actually just use your cell phone.
Really?
And just AT&T just bills you $10 a day, and use your phone like you're at home.
Boy, so you're saying no traveler's checks then?
Exactly, yes. And my travel agent did not book this trip either. So.
But you want to talk about like wedding gifts from the late 80s? Traveler's checks and phone cards.
Yep.
Hey,
no, phone cards. They couldn't have. Was that late 80s already?
Maybe 90s.
Back then it was just 1-800-COLLECT or 1-800-CALL-ATT.
I remember I had phone cards when I remember seeing them at least when I was probably a teenager, right?
Yeah. Boy, I bet that Greg is just thrilled that we're occupying his mid to late evening over in Paris, France, with riveting talk about.
No, this is entertaining, because I've been buried in sports talk for so long, so it's fun to dive into some other random minutia.
Yeah, well, if you want sports talk with Steve, he's going to ask you who threw the football the longest way, or something equally dumb. So we won't try to bore you with that. But Greg, you've been a part of
all good.
You've been a part of what is one of. I mean, I don't think you ever expected the USA men's and women's water polo teams to become the story the way they have in terms of what needed to happen to get the teams over there, right?
It's been unbelievable as far as just the excitement around water polo. It's been the place to be at here through the first week. Typically water polo runs the entire Olympics, and so you're kind of waiting towards the second week when medal time is approaching. That's when more of the attention starts to head their way. But thanks to all the celebs, thanks to our guy Flavor Flav, we've been top of mind here since the jump, which has been pretty exciting.
So now, if I've read correctly, he is actually funding. Is it just the women's team, or is it the women's and the men's team trip to the Olympics?
Yeah, so that is probably, I'm glad you brought it up. This is probably one of the more misreported things. And so I think in all the kind of excitement around him coming on board as an official hype man and, trying to support the teams, he's not funding anything in the way of travel because that's covered for all Olympic teams. So the U.S. Olympic Committee covers all the travel, the clothing, when you see the athletes in all the Nike gear and the Ralph Lauren gear, that all comes to the USOPC. That's been that way for a number of years, a number of Olympic Games. They take care of the flights and, Olympic Village and everything else. But what he has done, made a financial commitment to the women's Olympic team and, potential there for the men as well. But he's the hype man for both teams. But it was the women that kind of got him involved in water polo. The captain of the team, Maggie Stephens, was the one that put out a social media post and that kind of drew him in to the sport. So there's that part of it, but then it's just general promotion and hype. I mean, he literally has fulfilled that role as a hype man. He has gotten people that never talk about water polo coming to matches, talking about it. And so that's been a value that you really can't put a dollar amount on.
And it's a long-term commitment too, right? He signed like a 5-year commitment deal with the water polo.
He did 5 years to be a hype man. So that's through the LA games in 28. And it's, going to involve him being at events every year, multiple events annually, social media posts, and, just generally being an evangelist for water polo and really helping shine a light on the sport after the Olympics. That's really where the help is needed, maybe more so than out here in Paris when everyone's looking at all the Olympic sports, but it's after the games end and there's still water polo. People are still playing. There's still major events. It's just not the Olympics. And so he'll help, I think, keep the spotlight focused on the teams and the athletes, which is pretty exciting for the sport.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I'm not asking this to have you throw anybody under the bus or anything like that, but how does that make you feel? You're closely associated with water polo in the USA Water Polo teams, the chief content and marketing officer for USA Water Polo. So you mentioned that you think it's a little bit of misinformation out there about exactly what he's doing. So are you happy that this newfound attention has taken place for the USA Water Polo team? Are you a bit disheartened that it's out there that they needed help just to be able to come to the Olympic Games, or where do you fall on that sliding scale?
Yeah, I think you take all the positive and that kind of outweighs any of the wrong info. And what we've learned through this is that when you have someone who's frankly this famous and just brings in this many people, that a story like this just takes off like wildfire, and there's just going to be parts of it that are wrong, but most of it is right. And all of it is coming from a good place. And so when we kind of gently correct the record on some of these things and say, no, actually it's this, it's not that, as far as what people are sharing. As far as the idea of water polo Olympians needing help, that's not a new story. Olympians in general, water polo is just one of many sports where these people, they are not getting wealthy taking part in this endeavor. It really is for the love of the game. You hear the term sacrifice, and look, they're not soldiers at war, right? But they are people that have put whatever else is going to happen after sports on hold. These are really smart, well-educated people that could be doing a lot of other things, and they've pressed pause on that to kind of focus on this. And in a lot of cases, they're making enough money to survive, but they're not building a savings. They're not, like we said, in no way getting wealthy off of this. And people have to remember, too, the U.S., the only major country that doesn't have government funding. So when you watch other big countries compete in the Olympics, the government is helping to subsidize what they're doing. Right. In the United States, it's all run off of private donations, off of marketing, off of sponsorship, off of athletes being members of part of larger organizations. And so the help is needed today. It's going to be needed tomorrow. And so that's not anything that I think people in a smaller sport, kind of feel embarrassed about, or just kind of a matter of fact. So.
Well, I mean, one of the best stories of the Olympics was the guy doing the pommel horse for the U.S., right? Who's an engineer by day, and then
pommels that horse by night,
being referred to as pommel horse nerd. Right. Get out there and pommel the hell out of that horse, man! And that dude did it. But yeah, I mean, after the Olympics, he's going to go back to just being an engineer at a firm somewhere in what's he from, Pennsylvania? I think. But yeah, that's such a crazy story. Now, how many of the people involved in water polo, like the players involved in it, what percentage of them are in that similar situation where they're, like you said, putting their lives on hold? Maybe they had a full-time job that they're doing that they just had to be like, hey man, I need a couple weeks off to go to Paris for the Olympics. Is that the case for a lot of the players?
It varies. You have some that skew younger, so they're in college. So what they're doing in a lot of cases is putting their academics on hold. Most of the athletes that are college age, they redshirted this past school year. So they didn't play with their college teams. They didn't go to school. They either trained or they went abroad on the men's side, and they trained with clubs, just trying to kind of stay as active and in the water as much as possible. But then on the older side, and we're talking about mid-20s to, approaching 30, a little bit into your early 30s.
Oh, man, that is so old. So old idiots.
I know, guys. Believe me, it makes you feel so old. But that is what is considered an elder statesman or stateswoman sometimes in these sports, right?
So crazy.
Oh, my God, someone's 30, right? Or 32. Those people... Different stories for different folks. Some of them, they're coaching. They need to get a break from that. or they had to go to Europe to play abroad. Almost every player on the men's team plays professionally in Europe. That's how they do it. So they spend 9-10 months away from their families to play so that they can make a salary and stay at that elite level so that they can be at the level needed when the Olympics come around. A couple of the older guys, they had jobs, had kind of things in place. They were able to work with their companies to say, hey, can I have some time off, or can I try and come back after? A couple of different situations there for different players, but everyone has had to make some sort of adjustment or plan to fit this into their schedule. It's not like if you were a basketball player and it's just an event in the summer around your NBA season, right? It's a much different setup for these men and women.
Is it just because there's so many more opportunities in Europe, or because the level of play is better?
It's a little bit of both. Honestly, in many respects, when you're talking about professional, it's the only opportunity.
Okay.
There's a league in Australia as well for men and women, but most people consider the leagues in Europe. We're talking about countries like Greece, Spain, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Italy. These are the countries that are hosting a lot of these professional leagues. And like other sports, they typically have a 2-foreigner rule, right? So each club team is predominantly that home country's citizens, and then you can add in some foreign athletes. And so what a lot of the U.S. athletes do is they jump on clubs. At most, we'll have another teammate from Team USA with them on that club, but they're spread around all these different countries. And so that's really where the established leagues are. That's the best opportunity to play, to actually make some money, and to continue, again, like we were saying, have a chance to play high-level games. If you don't do that, then, yeah, you could be at home, you could be swimming as much as you want, but where are you going to get the games?
Yeah.
You kind of have to go to find that level of competition.
Yeah. Now, Greg, we spent enough time on the unimportant items, right? Like the actual athletic event, the sporting event. So I want to brace you before we let you.
To the miscellaneous.
Yeah. Before we let you go in a few minutes, I want to get your, and there's a reason for this, but I want to get the 3 events at the Olympics. Whether now you've covered, trust me, last time we talked to you 3 years ago, you wouldn't stop bragging about it. You've covered the summer and the winter games. So before we let you go in a little bit, I want to get the 3 events that you think with 6 months training, you maybe in the back of your mind be like, I don't know, maybe I could do that. So I would just want you to be thinking about that while we ask you these other very, very important questions. So the first question I have for you, now just remember, Greg, this is just us talking here. Can we all agree the Eiffel Tower, a little bit overrated?
You know, you're talking to the wrong guy. It's almost like a running joke now on Instagram that, like, every post I make, I somehow like work in the Eiffel Tower. I came
trust me,
here,
NBC is too.
Yeah. NBC's taking care of it.
I don't think the French love the Eiffel Tower like NBC loves the Eiffel Tower.
No, I'll tell you, in most places, it's hard not to somehow like have it in the background or have it included, and it's just so iconic. And then personally, I've kind of fallen into this trap where I just keep almost inadvertently taking photos of it, and then now I'm just like, you want a more Eiffel? You got it. Like, we're giving you more. Here's another Eiffel Tower. I mean, here's a sun up. Here's a sun down. Here's an angle from below. There's just no shortage of angles I'll give you of the Eiffel.
Yeah, you're turning it like into one of those old people who sees, like, whether it's the moon looking pretty or like a star shooting, and you try to take a 100x zoomed in photo on your phone. You're becoming that guy with the Eiffel Tower, though.
Oh, I know. It is. It's bad. I have to kind of cut myself off. I was just doing like a little culling of my photos earlier, and I was like, God, like too many Eiffel Tower shots. What did I need photos 4, 5, and 6 for? Like I nailed it. I nailed the first 3. I don't need the rest.
Okay, how much for us to, I mean, because you're going to be there, another week or so? We could probably overnight you a T-shirt pretty quickly that has a picture of the Statue of Liberty on one side and a picture of the Eiffel Tower on the other side with a greater than sign pointing to the Statue of Liberty. You'd wear that, right?
Certainly. You know, I saw a guy walking down the street that said the British blew a 13-colony lead. So I think people are comfortable with some of these shirts that might suggest who's better than someone else. It's the world meeting in one place. Where else can you brag but here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that you have your issued attire that they ask you to wear, and you're supposed to look professional. But, you know, if you could slip in a couple pro-America jokes, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, honestly, we're fighting the good fight over here, apparently, still.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it'd be slightly challenging to be wearing one of those shirts when we're kind of entering a a media interview zone. Don't want to get picked up on a TV camera wearing something derogatory. But we'll see. We'll see if what I can work in, provided you guys can have this item clear customs the next 5 days.
Yeah, not a problem.
In the next few days. I wanted to ask, I've seen on your social media, you've been able to kind of make the rounds when you're not working and busy with the water polo teams and your job. You've been able to visit and see a lot of these events going on. What's been your favorite moment you've been able to see in person that maybe you thought, I'll never have a chance to see gymnastics or on this level or whatever it may be? Has there been anything that kind of caught you by surprise and caught in the moment?
I think the big thing that has stood out from here, not to circle back to the Eiffel Tower as you knew we would, but just all the venues, what Paris has done such a good job of, and every Olympics is fun and to watch. Elite competition is so awesome, but they did a great job incorporating some of their real landmark locations into Olympic venues. So joking about the Eiffel, but the beach volleyball setup, sundown the other night, watching beach volleyball with that in the background, that was awesome.
That looked, honestly, earlier, I saw that picture you posted.
I mean, it's just
one of the
ridiculous.
pictures.
Like, come on.
Yeah. That was pretty incredible.
Earlier today, I saw fencing in a place called Les Grand Palais, and I think it's where they do maybe Paris Fashion Week. But again, a venue that would give you the idea of like a museum or something like that. They're hosting fencing there. That's beautiful. I haven't been out there yet, but Equestrian out in Versailles, they basically took a place that's known for being very beautiful and they made sure to include the Olympics wrapped within all those landmarks. So that's been kind of the unique thing because I've been lucky to see gymnastics in the past and see men's basketball and see swimming and see all the sports that I think everyone wants to check out. So to see them in these iconic locations, that's been kind of the thing that's made you say, wow, in comparison to other Olympics.
Maybe to a lesser extent, the aquatic sports going on in the Seine.
Yes, triathlon. Did they spend like $1 billion to make it not filthy?
$1.5 billion, and apparently it made no difference. Oh. Have you taken a dip in the Seine?
I have not, and I have no plans to do so. I think the other hard part with that is any open water event, the Seine, anywhere you were to put it, weather can always play a factor. Mm-hmm. And if it rains, thunderstorms, right, that kind of churns up any body of water. And so that's just been another complication. Props for trying. It was a massive effort to try and get that body of water clean. But then if you're going to have rain on top of it, that's just such an unforeseen element in the middle of an event like that. And so I know that's been super, super challenging, but I stick to the chlorinated waters. And so that is what I am best qualified to speak on.
Couple more, I promise, just a couple questions before we let you get out of here and go take like a dozen more pictures.
Don't try to rush me on don't try. You guys got me. Don't be rushing me off the phone now.
Well, I know your iPhone is just dying to take some lit up pictures of the Eiffel Tower behind you.
Are you at the Eiffel Tower right now? Are you on like that observation deck? Do you have a baguette in your hand as we speak?
And a hat. What do they call this?
I actually, yes. Well, I am wearing a striped shirt, which is very French, but I also holding a baguette, wearing a beret, staring at the Eiffel. All of these things are happening at once, sitting right next to Victor Wembanyama,
of course,
tall basketball player for France.
7'4".
Everything happening at once, just as you picture it.
Yeah, we need like if while you're sitting there, if you could have one of those, no doubt, old French artist with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, doing cross-legged, doing a painting of you doing this interview in front of that. That'd be great if you could send that back.
Yeah, maybe working a Mona Lisa in there somewhere.
Of course, yeah, she's always smiling. Can you quantify, Greg, how much different? And this is not meant to imply any problem towards the Tokyo Olympics that ended up being in 2021. Can you quantify the difference for you personally, what you've seen, what you've experienced, what you've seen the athletes experience, the Paris Games compared to the Tokyo Games in 2021 that were postponed from COVID?
There's really no comparison. You're talking about the only Olympics in recent history that took place during a pandemic, and no family, no fans, no friends. It was a totally different environment. You were very restricted. I know we talked back then about how you could get around and what you're allowed to do and health protocols. You're testing every day, wearing masks. To go from that to happy days are here again, as far as everyone here, family, friends, people out in in a beautiful city, having a great time, able to explore restaurants, go see events, all kinds of exciting moments happening day after day, packed stadiums. It's almost as if collectively the whole world was like desperate to get back to the Olympics.
Yeah.
I've been to a few of these. This is the first one I can recall where every venue I've gone to, the crowd is large. Every sport, regardless of sport, it feels like near capacity. The French fans going absolutely nuts for their athletes. So it is a complete 180. It really is. There's just no comparison at all because it is reminiscent of other pre-COVID Olympic Games,
sure,
but supercharged because there's been such a long wait to get back to this feeling.
And I mean, you talk to the athletes, whether it be water polo or whatever, the athletes that you're around. There may not be as many repeat, but is there just a different mojo around being able to, hey, I'm in a very cool city. I'm able to now do what I want. Whereas, like you said, I don't know, you're still at the Olympics in 2021, but when you're stuck in your dorm room with a cardboard box for a bed, I think it's a little bit different, right? Like, have you noticed the difference in the athletes being able to just enjoy this moment for what it is?
The number one thing that every one of them across, I think, most sports has talked about is they were so used to whatever they were competing in, looking up and looking for mom and dad, looking for their significant other, looking for a brother or sister, grandma, whoever, and they didn't do that last time.
Yeah.
One of the strange things about water polo last time, the women win the gold medal, they hang out on the podium by themselves as a group for over an hour, just FaceTiming family back home, taking photos. That has never happened before, and never happen again. Typically what happens, they win, and they're into the stands to try and get hugs, and people are going nuts for the medal ceremony. So that connection with family and friends, number one, and you saw people that I think had Tokyo been a normal Olympics, they may have retired after Tokyo.
Yeah,
but
that's a
that
shame.
left a weird feeling.
Yeah.
You wanted to have this experience again where family and friends were there. And so that, I think, brought some people back. And that's been really the number one thing. Because for so many of them, the city's awesome, but you're in the village, you're in your Olympic bubble, you're focused on your training. And so it's not as if the athletes are out and about at cafes, right? They're not down at the Moulin Rouge. They're focusing on the task at hand. And so that family impact, being able to meet up with your family after the game, even for 20 minutes, those are all the things they missed last time. It's what they're, I think, by and large, most excited to have back this time.
Sure.
Well, before we get to, again, the big reveal where Greg Meskel, official sponsor, and a hype man, well, not hype man, Flavor Flav's a hype man, Chief Content Marketing Officer for USA Water Polo.
I'm the official hype man of Steve and Kyle. Yeah. Yep.
Before we get to Greg Meskel throwing Olympic events under the bus saying he could do them, given 6 months, can you tell everybody where they can find your work this final week of the Olympics? Hopefully we haven't missed everything you're doing.
Yeah.
To tune in to Greg calling whatever events you're doing this week.
Well, or if you just want to plug your social media so people can see the many, many pictures of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, well, we'll post those as well.
Yeah, exactly. If you need Eiffel Tower content, let me push you in the right direction, because I'm the only one taking them, folks. No one else here has got a pic of the Eiffel Tower to save their lives.
If there's one under-photographed French thing, it's the Eiffel Tower.
It's honestly, that's why I take so many, because I'm like, that tall steel structure has to feel bad about itself. Let me try and figure it out.
Right.
MacLeod on Instagram, Greg Meskel on Twitter. You know, here, a lot of the focus on the USA Water Polo social media accounts. So at USAWP, sharing a lot of good content there across all those channels and all the great celebs that have come through. Flavor Flav, Guy Fieri, Spike Lee, the First Lady. It's been an awesome first week here of all those folks coming through to celebrate. And then come the fall and basketball season, looking forward to getting back out to some great venues and calling some volleyball, hopefully some football, definitely some hoops. So more sports your way. Can't say there'll be any Eiffel Towers unless I find myself in Vegas, but otherwise you can look for some other good sports content there.
Well, look, I mean, Eiffel Tower, it's a hidden gem. Not many people know about it.
Yeah, Greg, I'm looking at the Instagram right now, and 2 of your last 5 photos are the Eiffel Tower. One's you with Flavor Flav, one's you with Guy Fieri, one's you with Spike Lee. You're a real whore. You're a real celeb whore, aren't you?
these folks are kind enough to take a picture with me. Not going to turn it down. You do the same thing. I know you. I know exactly what you do. You'd have like a 20 photo gallery with these guys.
Yeah.
I at least am classy enough just to take one, and then I get back to the Eiffel Tower.
Are you?
I get the photo, and then I quickly double back to the Eiffel Tower.
That's right. Hey, I gotta go. I'm sorry, guy, but have you seen that big thing back there?
What's your checkpoint? It's like, you gotta center yourself before you head out.
It's the old. It's hiding in plain sight, that thing. You don't even know it's there.
Are you on, please, at least tell us that you're on a first-name basis with Flavor Flav at this point.
Oh, certainly, yes.
So he knows your name.
I saw him earlier today. He does.
Okay.
And I know his.
Next time we, I want to, one of these events that you're going to be associated with that's not Olympics related, that you said he is now as the official hype man of the water polo teams, that he's going to be at. We'd love to get, we got to get you on the horn, you and Flavor Flav, so we can break bread over the phone.
Or you guys have to just get out to California,
okay,
do a little live show from the West Coast,
okay,
and then we can try and get Flav to sit down with y'all and
at
least take. He's not going to do the 20 photos you're going to ask for. He's going to do one,
right?
But he could at least do one picture.
Well, it's a busy man.
Yeah.
So let's talk 4 years, 2028 LA. How loosey-goosey are these media credentials? And now that we've got the great big Greg Meskel taking photos with Guy Fieri and Spike Lee in the Eiffel Tower, what's it going to take for you to maybe grease the wheels to get Steve and Kyle a media pass to come cover some Olympics in 2028?
Yeah, what do we got to do?
Whatever the opposite of loosey-goosey is, that is what the credential process will be for LA 28. Given it's a home Olympics and the excitement around those and the excitement that the media had for these games, a lot of media wanted to get credentials, could not get passes. I expect the interest in those games to be absolutely through the roof.
Right.
I would say you're going to want to start that application process very soon and make a convincing case that you actually do an Olympics radio show and podcast, and that is what you're focused on. And start creating your work now. Start showing your proof of work today, and then you can send in some great clips. And you never know. We'll see.
Then we'll just tell them call Greg.
Yeah. We'll say. Well, Greg told us. Greg told us to call you. Greg told us to call you, and you'd overnight us a couple passes.
Yes, that's exactly how it works. They just have them in a stack in their office, and they just throw them in a FedEx and send them out to you.
So, man, nobody's asked for these things yet. Right. We've been dying to give these things away.
You guys are the first ones. Thanks for finally unloading some of these.
Yeah, exactly. We were nervous that no one would show, so thank you so much for asking.
All right, so as your last thing on this podcast, we need to get your 3 events that with 6 months of training you could feasibly just compete or medal.
I don't even want to say this. I want to phrase it as the events you think you would be like, I could do that, because in no actual universe do I think I would be able to go to the Olympics for any event. Mm-hmm. But the events that you watch, you go, yeah, I could do that.
I could probably do that.
Yeah. What are for Greg Meskel,
now,
esteemed official?
Are we talking about? Are we talking about that? I just compete, like I go out there, I don't die. It's not like I'm medaling, right? But I'm just able to compete in the event.
I mean,
or do you think that with 6 months of training, because like none of us are medaling in anything with 6 months of training.
I don't know.
Break that news right now.
I think you're not giving us a lot of credit over here.
I've seen curling.
This stuff is extremely, extremely difficult. So, but I did think about it, and I kind of landed on things that I feel like I could take part in and just take it nice and easy, not get myself hurt, come in dead last, but also not die.
You're just there. You're just there for You're just there for the Olympic experience.
That's right.
Correct. I actually, and I always loosely say ran a marathon because that would imply it was fast. But I did do that years ago. Okay. So I feel like I could take part in the Olympic marathon. I would just come in last. Mm-hmm. I would hit all the water stations, stay well hydrated.
Pose under the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. How many times does that loop through the Eiffel Tower?
It's just a quick cat nap under the Eiffel, 15, 30 minutes, then keep going. Finish in 8 to 9 hours. Okay. So I like that.
So distance
then
running
I was
marathon.
Inspired by, Yes. Then I was inspired by the guy from Turkey who came out of nowhere to win a medal in shooting, even though he doesn't wear any protective gear or glasses or earplugs or anything. He just gets up there and he's like, where's the target? I brought my gun. That would be interesting because I could just go to a shooting range and work on that.
Oh, dude, the tweet that he had too, or his quote where he says like, because he's divorced, and he said like, if anyone sees Sharon, tell her I want my dog back.
Oh God.
Which I feel like I'm the official podcast Snopes here. That also is not a true story.
Oh,
no one wanted to be more true than me.
No.
He was like actually in the Army, and he has been obviously a person who has shot a gun before. So while we all wish that he did take it up as the result of a annoying divorce and is now looking for his dog back, that is not the case.
Oh, man.
That's been disproven. So if you guys want to have me back next week, we can just run through all the things you've been telling others that are not true, and then I can just fact check them one by one.
You could ruin everybody's fun. That'll be great, Greg.
Man,
I know it's a bummer. It's not enjoyable. But so there's that one, and then again, put me on a team that is not expected to do well in basketball.
Really,
I can be like the last guy off the bench.
Are you doing 3-on-3 or you doing 3-on-3 or the?
No, I prefer you could hide me better in 5-on-5.
Okay,
3-on-3 I'll get exposed immediately. There's only 4 people on 3x3, and I'd eventually have to play, I assume.
I mean, how tall are you, Greg?
I'd mostly ride the bench.
How tall?
6 foot with the right sneakers on.
Okay, so you're 5'11". Boy, I got to tell you, I feel like you're shooting for the moon on basketball, man. Like, I don't know. I'm just
saying, I'm familiar with the sport. There are games where another country loses by 40 to 50 points. Why can't I be on the wrong end of that game?
Right. So you just need to go to Ancestry.com, prove you're like 1/32nd Costa Rican, and get on the Costa Rican 5-on-5 basketball team for 2028. So we can see you coming in, getting stripped and then smacked around by Draymond Green in 4 years.
I'm operating under the presumption that qualifications have been taken care of, that I've already made the team and I'm just there. I don't have to actually qualify. So
okay.
That's been how I've been operating on this. But yeah, I think of some of the other ones, canoe, kayak could easily tip over the boat. I'd have a problem. Rock climbing could fall dangerously.
You could die.
Anything on the water really could be a problem. Swimming, again, could be challenging, long distances. So try to think of the safest kind of land sports that would result in the least amount of injury.
I can't tell you how funny.
Have you guys landed on a sport?
I have my top 3, but I can't tell you how funny it is that, chief content officer, et cetera, the USA water polo team is afraid of the water sports. But it's comfortable going up against, Nikola Jokic in basketball.
Right.
Water polo is the most difficult sport.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
I'm the most informed on water polo, and I know better than to try and get in there with just 6 months of training with actual Olympic water polo players.
Have you ever played?
Yes, but not at any good level, and it was terrible. And there's a reason why I do what I do right now.
Right. I was going to say, do you get mocked by the professionals because you're one of the foremost authority on water polo? Do you get mocked because you don't actually play the sport? They're just like, oh, that guy, yeah, he talks about it, but he couldn't play.
No, I don't think people think of it that way. You think about most broadcasters of sports. I don't think people look at them and say, that guy can't dunk. He shouldn't talk about basketball.
Nobody
sack the quarterback, right?
Nobody ever accused Marv Albert of not having a good crossover.
Right.
Yeah, like where's Marv's windmill jam? No one's ever said that, right? So,
can you imagine?
They just thought he called a good game.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson's mad at Mike Breen because Mike Breen yelled "bang" on a different play, and he's never played before.
Oh, I love it! I love the idea of this.
I do love this idea now that like you like have to have played at a very high level to call the sport, or you're resented by everyone who's in the game.
Absolutely,
that'd be fantastic. Not answering the questions of anyone who did not play.
It's a bit of an inside.
By the way, guys, yeah. Goodness, that's so good.
A bit of an inside baseball question for you, but do you have like a play-by-play announcer, kind of not crush for lack of a better term, but someone you look up to, you're like, whoa, like they are good at what they do. They're the best I've seen. I want to emulate what they do that you've had a chance to meet.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Marv. He's certainly watching the Knicks growing up, and I've never gotten a chance to meet him, but he was such an influence in me thinking that broadcasting was something to do, and that was a really cool job. And so certainly that kind of the interest from watching him. And then current day, I'll probably always come back to Ian Eagle. He does a lot of stuff for CBS, March Madness, the voice of the Final Four. I've gotten to know him a little bit. Wonderful guy. Has always been very kind to me and giving feedback on broadcasting reels. And I love his style. I think he does the job as well as anybody, and is excellent at blending in the excitement of calling a game, the humor that you can have while doing it, but also having all the information, the preparation. And there's a lot of other guys too that have been super kind to me that I think do a great job. That I've gotten a chance to meet as well. I always throw to guy Jim Watson on the West Coast who could do any sport and do it really, really well. Kevin Harlan, Adam Amin, the list goes on. But there's so many talented people out there that I enjoy listening to and try to pick up on what they're doing and what makes them so great, and how can I try and do what they do, but do it in my own way.
Yeah, emulate it, but with your own spin.
Sure.
Well, Greg, we appreciate you taking the time out from your Eiffel Tower fangirling, and it was very nice. Very nice to talk to you. What's on the agenda for the rest of what are you looking forward to the rest of the week?
Well, we're kind of into the make or break games in water polo.
Yeah,
so
quarterfinals
got their way into the quarterfinals. So the men have their final group game tomorrow against Croatia. So that might help their positioning for the quarterfinals, but they know that they're through. So starting Tuesday night, women's quarterfinal, Wednesday, men's quarterfinal. And from there, you try and see if you can get to the semis and try and win a medal. And of course, the women, looking for their fourth straight gold, men looking to medal for the first time since 2008. So this is where you get to the really, really, really exciting part. And then if there's time, certainly want to try and catch some basketball. They've been playing at Lille, a town or city of about 2 hours away from here, I think.
Oh, really?
So they relocate back to Paris. Yeah, I was talking to someone today who was like, I got tickets for basketball. I was like, oh, you're going to Lille? And they were like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's like 2 hours away. You headed there? And they're like, no, I had no idea. It was not in Paris. I was like, got it. They're like, we're not going to make it. Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
The challenges of Olympic ticketing. Yeah. You may have heard for LA, softball will be in Oklahoma City. So hopefully one has the same challenges there when purchasing tickets. But so hopefully going to see some basketball this week when they come back, but it's all really schedule dependent. And just now getting towards the good part here to see if the teams can perform in the biggest matches.
Do you get a medal, Greg?
I do not. Only the athletes themselves, not even the coaches. Get a medal.
What?
It's very, very different than U.S. sports. If you think about,
really,
if the Pistons won the NBA championship, not only would all the players, the coaches, even maybe interns would get championship rings.
Yeah.
In Olympic games, only the Olympians and Olympians who played to be considered an Olympian get medals. They do have a program called Order of Ecos. It's where a team can give a medal. This is something that was put together by the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. Where a team can select a coach to give a medal to. It's not an Olympic medal, it's a special other menu, but just some way to try and recognize all the things that coaches do, whether you're the coach of a team of 13 athletes, or in some cases you just coach one singular gymnast or swimmer. It's an opportunity after a medal to try and recognize your coach. So
you got to steal
that's
one.
about the extent of the medals, but I have gotten a couple of nice T-shirts.
You got to,
so, no complaint.
You could probably steal one though, right?
Yeah, certainly, yes. I definitely had a chance to borrow one for a minute and get a photo and then give it back.
Well, we're going to start it trending on social media for you. GGG, hashtag GGG, give Greg gold, because that's absolute malarkey that you're not included. I've got, you always see these posts for high school teams or college teams like, hey, he cleaned up our vomit for 3 weeks in August and we gave him a ring. Right. Yet you're out there, schlubbing it under the Eiffel Tower, having to deal with Guy Fieri and Flavor Flav, and you're not going to be entitled to a gold. That's just, that won't stand, Greg.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't go over well.
Really, what I want is GEG. Give Eiffel gold. I want a giant gold medal we can drape around the
Get
Eiffel.
him out of here.
Get me in like a cherry picker super tall. I'll tie it on myself. And we can all celebrate together as the sun goes down. I think it'll be beautiful.
Yeah, Europe doesn't do that. You see, like Detroit do. They have like the big statues or whatever, and then all these cities will throw the jerseys of their teams over it. You don't see France doing that with the Eiffel Tower, do you?
No. It's not a great shape. I mean,
They do put the rings on there. They put the Olympic rings on there. They put the Paralympic logo on the Arch of Triumph. So they've dressed up these monuments in some respects, but no, we're not seeing a giant jersey hanging over one of these.
Well, it's because the Eiffel Tower's got a lack of shoulders. If the Eiffel Tower had shoulders, a jersey would fit great. I mean,
that's a whole different story. You're right.
Yeah, I already put it on the poll. Does the Eiffel Tower need arms?
You can rest assured that it's all about shoulders. But they were going to do it, and they were like, "Doesn't have shoulders. Put it away. We're not doing it." So
yeah, I mean, come on, we figured it out. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Of course.
We look forward to talking to you again. And wait, are you going to be doing anything with Winter?
To be determined. Hopefully, would love to get out to Italy. It looks like it's going to be an amazing venue there in Milano Cortina. So to be determined, but that's about 18 months away. So we'll find out soon.
Good time. Perfect. Right, well, go finish your bag of bread and adjust your beret. And your stripe, pat down your striped shirt and enjoy France for us.
Yeah, if you could take a picture, or actually take a selfie style video in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh boy!
Just drop the name Steve Kyle. Maybe tag us in it. It would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no big deal.
Hey, as soon as I get back there, not a problem.
Appreciate it, Greg. Thanks for the time, man.
Good to talk to you, man.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Talk soon, guys. Take care. Bye.
Also, forgot to ask him to send us a bone box, which is the anti-sex bed.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the one from Tokyo.
I'm sure it got caught up in customs.
Well, that was fun, man. I like talking to Greg. Greg's a good dude. I've known him for many, many years at this point, 20-some years at this point.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. That's always fun. That's our on-the-ground Olympics correspondent.
Look at us.
Greg
Look at us being topical. And this episode of the podcast will actually come out while the Olympics are still going on.
That's right. USA men's and women's water polo. I didn't want to ask him if he's doing any work with Westwood One and NBC Sports like he has in the past. It seems like he's more closely just affiliated with working with the water polo team. Yep. So be sure to check out their quarterfinal action happening this week. Obviously, if they win their quarterfinal matchups, they're in the semifinals as they enter the medal stages here. And hashtag GGG, get Greg gold as we look to get Greg a medal on his way out of Paris, France.
I don't think it's too much to ask.
I'm going to order one just to rub it in his face. Okay?
A replica
French gold medal. And it's going to say U.S. women's water polo on it or whatever.
Right.
Like I was an advocate. And I'm now tied in closer to the organization than Greg would be.
Oh, boy. That would probably upset him, I think.
Greg, if you're still listening, please go send us one of those posts from the anti-sex bed so we can have it in the studio here. It's just a corner of cardboard.
Yeah, that's all we need.
Honestly, he could send us one of his Amazon boxes, say it was that. We wouldn't know any better.
Just peel the smiley face label off of it. We wouldn't know any different.
Our thanks to Greg. We ran out of time to give our 3 Olympic events you could do that we think we could do.
You want to do them right now?
Yeah, let's run them off roughshod. Hit it 3, 2, 1.
I actually got 5.
Oh, some outside looking in.
Yeah.
Perfect. What are your...
I don't really know which the outside are and which the inside are.
So no particular order?
Like Greg, I had shooting.
Okay.
Like the Turkish guy who he ruined the story of.
Yeah, but it's a bummer that Sharon didn't actually leave him.
Yeah, I know. But I saw a follow-up tweet about the dog and everything. Ski jumping. Gravity does all the work.
Oh, honestly, as long as you can stay upright, you could medal.
Okay, next, literally any running event, you just run. I'm not going to win, but I can run. Yeah. Archery, no problem.
Right.
I was really good when I was at Cub Scout camp at archery.
Okay. So you're thinking from 100 meters away or whatever that is, you could drop an arrow in that 10s and 9s? Okay.
And curling.
Boy, I feel like I missed out on not including curling's the easiest one, right?
Simple. Yeah.
I'd be a brusher.
Yeah,
I think I'd want to be a brusher.
Push a rock and brush.
Yep.
All right, what are yours?
My 3, my top one, number 1, badminton. I was really good. I mean, really good. Like abnormally good when I was a kid at badminton. The second one, skeet shooting. Give me 6 months. I've got those contrast glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And shoot a frisbee out of the sky with some buckshot.
I don't think it's buckshot.
No, it's buckshot. I mean, listen, Dick Cheney got a guy in the face, and that was supposedly on accident. I could do this with skeet shooting. And lastly, Steve, because I don't think anybody could fail at this, fencing.
Yeah, you're just kind of playing Zorro.
And here's my strategy on fencing that I thought about. A little misdirection. So I'm going to wave one hand in the air to get their attention, and I'm going to poke them. I'm going to poke them repeatedly,
right
and I'm going to win. 45 times, and I'm going to win. I'll say this. I swapped in fencing because what I swapped out was, I believe it's called canoe slalom, like fake rapids in a pool.
Oh, yeah.
The rapids are doing the work. The oars are barely there.
All right, well, we got to go. I think our music's about to run out, but we'll talk to you next week. See ya.